Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. I wanted to talk to you tonight about um, how the narcissist is a professional victim. You know, the more I study this thing, the more I'm realizing that we are dealing with narcissists, oh my God, much more than we realize. And I venture to say, coming from a Christian perspective and a church culture, that we have more narcissists in the church, I suppose in religion in general, um, than we really understand. I'll even go further to say that it seems to be that positions of leadership and power in churches and in religion seems to be a hotbed of narcissism. The more I study this, the more I'm realizing, and it's like the scales come off of your eyes and you begin to see, exactly who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with. And I think when we study this, and I'm going to get to my subject matter, but I need to say these things. When we study this, I think it prepares you to be able to enter the world and to make proper and healthy relational choices. I think the reason we have so many problems with soul ties, toxic relationships, is because we think that we're dealing with people who are really, we think they're one thing when they're really just actors playing a role. They're narcissists. They do not have the capacity to love you back. They do not have the capacity to consider your feelings. They do not have the capacity to feel sorry for you about the wrong they do to you. And when they get through doing all of that, they have a unique way, transitioning into my actual subject matter now, they have a unique way of becoming the victim. Because a major component of narcissistic disorder, narcissistic abuse rather, when a narcissist entrenches him or herself into your life and they begin to abuse you, is this thing we talked about some time ago called gaslighting. And you can find a lot of people who are, experts. I'm no expert, I'm just studying this. And so my comments and my thoughts are from a novice's perspective. However, I'm beginning to discover or understand that I've been dealing with this all of my life, people like this. But this thing called gaslighting, and it's where the narcissist brings you through this series of events constantly. It's like a roller coaster to make you feel like you're crazy, make you feel like you're losing your mind, like something's really wrong with you, and you need to check, you need to really check yourself out because something is drastically wrong with you. And as it pertains to gaslighting, one of the key components of that whole process of gaslighting and making a person think they're nuts, they're crazy, is to always play the victim. When the narcissist is actually victimizing you, they have a diabolical, demonic gifting to make you feel like you owe them an apology, that you did, something wrong to them. If you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have done that, And so now, when you should be outraged and you should demand an apology, you should demand, that this individual acknowledges what they did. You're sitting there trying to figure out, should I be calling him or her to apologize to them because some kind of way they've moved me out of the victim slot, which I really am, and they've put themselves there. They'll make themselves the abused and the misused every time. Oh me, oh my, look what the world is doing to me. Look at how poorly they're treating me. Look at, I'm trying to get this light right. Look at how they're abusing me, you know. Number one, just a few thoughts. This is just a conversation. And again, I'm just a pastor. I'm a man. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm no professional, none of that. So, don't judge my comments through, the strainer. Don't strain my comments through that of one you might, judge a professional by, because I'm not. I'm just studying this and I'm sharing my thoughts as I learn. Number one, a narcissist is never wrong. You find a person that is never wrong, you need to run from them. I mean, never wrong. They never owe anybody an apology. You've never gotten an apology from them. And you're trying to develop an intimate relationship with a person that is never wrong. Do you know anybody like that? That, it doesn't matter what goes down, how many years you're together, how many times you have falling, you fall out with one another, they are never wrong. They are never wrong. Do you know anybody like that? I see people like this all the time in the church, People say, how can you be a person that has had ruptured relationships, one after another, after another, after another, after another, in a short span of time, and not step away from that and say, wonder what's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? Why am I falling out? Why are all of my relationships disrupting? All of them are, falling apart, and I'm never wrong. It's always somebody else. I see people in the church, man, they fall out with 5, 6 different people in a month's time, and it's never them. It's always somebody else. Somebody has a demon. Somebody, got a devil. And it's never them. Narcissists are never wrong. They will never apologize. And they will not acknowledge your feelings about any situation. They don't care that, you're lying on the ground bleeding and they are whole and healthy. They are never wrong. It wasn't my fault. I believe it's because the ego of the narcissist is out of control. All of us have an ego, as human beings, we all have an ego, and that ego makes us, want to look good. Makes us want to be right. The ego makes us want to, come out on top. But when you're well adjusted up here and in here, that sense of empathy is able to circumvent the ego and push my eye off of the scene, off of the stage for a minute. And that sense of empathy gives you the capacity, when you're well adjusted, to consider, how does this impact the individuals involved? And so when you're well adjusted, your sense of empathy, your higher nature, circumvents the ego, and your higher nature considers other people. And your higher nature says, well, you missed it here and you did this individual wrong. And your higher nature gives you the capacity to override your ego and to be able to say to another person, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I missed it. If you do not have that capacity to be able to look at a situation, step outside of it and look at it through an objective lens and be able to come back and say, I missed it, I was wrong. But narcissists do not possess that capacity because their ego is out of control. It's all about me, my, I. And if it does not make me look good, I'm going to do whatever I must to twist this thing, turn this thing around, to make you the bad guy, make me the good guy, make you wrong, and make me right. Make you ugly, make me beautiful. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, because as a narcissist, I cannot afford to be wrong. I'm never wrong. I can't be wrong. I'm never wrong. Everybody's wrong but me. Sometimes you have family members like that. You can't even reason with these people. You go and you want to have just a heart-to-heart adult conversation about a matter that you should be able to sit down and calmly discuss, and it turns into, when they get into this victim's mode, their voices get loud, they go to flailing their hands, they begin to cry these, fake tears, and they create all of this emotion and all of this drama and all of this hype. And the reason they create all of that is to keep you off of, the obvious points that you're making that are true, and to bring this thing to an emotional level so that they can storm off and cry and tell everybody how you came and you attacked them and you hurt their feelings, because they're never wrong. The Bible says in Proverbs 21:2, every way of a man is right in his own eyes. Every way of a man is right. In other words, every man has the capacity within him to think that what he is doing or has done is right or was right. But when one has a well-adjusted soul, and especially when one is connected and has a relationship with God, the Bible goes on to say, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. When a man has a relationship with God, the Spirit of God will reveal to that man what you thought was right was wrong. When a person does not have the capacity to look at their deeds, look at their position, and come back with the conclusion sometimes that I was wrong, this is indicative of this person is maladjusted in his or her head. This person is clearly not being led by the Spirit of God. As a pastor of a church, there have been times that I was wrong, and I've had to come to a congregation, a church full of people, and say I was wrong. I missed it on that. And I've had to apologize to people publicly. Nobody twisted my arm behind my back and said, you better apologize. Nobody confronted me at all. In fact, it was my own conscience that confronted me. And my own conscience said, now look at this thing from their perspective. And I was able to look at it from their perspective, and I came back with, man, I missed it. I really didn't handle that right. But there are people who don't have that capacity. That's amazing to me, but it's true. There are people who do not have that capacity. In Proverbs 28:13, it says, he that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. What do narcissists do? They cover their sins constantly, and they never prosper. They're never wrong. Now, one of the areas where I have really encountered this has been, I don't get a chance to do this like I used to do it. I used to do a lot of marital counseling because marriage and family is really big on my agenda. And I never understood why in certain marital counseling sessions, something that was just simple, plain old common sense, I could not get both of them or one of them to understand. And then in the minority of those sessions, in those sessions with other people, I could come to a couple that had an issue, and I could present the wisdom to them, and they could both buy into it and see their part in the error and reconcile quickly. Now I'm understanding. In a lot of these couples, you're dealing with two narcissists, or you're dealing with one. And just one narcissist in the mix creates confusion that cannot be rectified. It becomes a waste of time. When you have two people who are empathetic, they may wrong one another, but when wisdom is presented, they're able to see the wisdom, they're able to gravitate towards the wisdom, and they're able to change. This is a good lesson for those of you who are counselors. You need to, when you sit in these rooms with people, you need to begin to discern, am I dealing with a narcissist here? And as you study this, I'm certain that there are certain questions that you'll be able to ask, but intentionally pay attention to see if you're dealing with narcissists, because if you're dealing with one or more narcissists in a marital counseling perspective, you're not going to be, it's a waste of your time. You're not going to be able to come to any place of reconciliation, because neither one of them is ever going to admit wrong. Neither one of them is going to change for or towards the other. Neither one of them can consider the other person's needs or feelings above their own. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Okay, well, I won't say that. Number two, the narcissist will turn the discussion. We're talking about how they're professional victims. The narcissist will turn the discussion from their obvious infractions to unfounded accusations of you. When you jam a narcissist up and you begin to challenge them or confront them about their stuff, they will turn the discussion from their obvious infractions to an unfounded onslaught of accusations against you. This is when they'll get into that, emotional thing, and then they'll go to accusing you and turning the tables on you. And the Bible says in Revelation 12:10, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser, watch this, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before God day and night. Satan, Lucifer, from a biblical perspective, was the first narcissist. He was the first one that said, I, my, me, I will exalt myself. And then God, checked him. And the Bible is talking here about Lucifer and how he is the accuser of the brethren day and night. He's accusing day and night. That is a fundamental spirit that resides in narcissist, the spirit of accusation. They will, when you jam them up about anything, if you confront them about anything, they will bring accusation against you that can make your best friends pause. They are so astute at accusing that they'll even have you rethinking, did I do that? Am I wrong? They'll have you thinking you're crazy, because I'm convinced that this thing is more than a lot of times a psychological disorder. This thing is demonic. And I know some of you that don't, some of you don't subscribe to spiritual things, but hey, from my perspective and knowing God, this thing is demonic. How can you explain a whole lot of this stuff as deep as it goes and as diabolical as it gets? How can you explain it but to say it is demonic? Now, when they bring accusation against you, when you catch them in their stuff, and they bring these unfounded accusations against you, this maneuver is designed to shift you from, watch this, shift the conversation from the logic that you're presenting to emotion. This maneuver is designed to shift the conversation from the logic that you are presenting to emotion. It's engineered to cause you to second guess yourself. It's an intentional creation of confusion. It is an intentional creation of confusion to shift you from the logic that you're presenting to an emotional state. And see, narcissists thrive in highly emotionally energized environments. So they want to get it off of the logic and turn it to a place of emotion. And they begin to say things like, if you hadn't done X, Y, Z, I would have never done. This happened because look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. They'll find a way to accuse somebody else for the wrong they've done. This is one of the biggest struggles with in the minds of women that have been abused sexually abused by men is that a man will molest or rape a woman, and then he'll plant a seed in her mind, or society at large plants a seed in her mind to make her wonder, if I did something to cause this. How can you do something to cause somebody to rape you or to molest you as a child? But it's the spirit of accusation. I'm telling you, these individuals are more prevalent in our society and in our communities and in our families than we even realize. And when you think about sexual abuse and things like rape and molestation, that has to be a person that has no empathy to even come up with such a demonic concept. And then this spirit leaves in the abused, in the woman, leaves in the woman, and sometimes the young men too that are victimized. Same thing. What did I do? Did I do something to cause this? That's the spirit of accusation. The narcissist will turn the discussion from the obvious infraction and twist it into unfounded accusations concerning you, the true victim. The true victim, this person has cheated on you. This person has physically abused you. And the moment you try to break from this and say, okay, I'm leaving. I don't want any more of this. I deserve better than this. Then you get these phone calls, if you had only been a better woman, if you had only been a better man, I could have been a better spouse. I could have been a better partner. And then if you don't respond to that, then you get these messages. You so cold. You so cold. You don't care. You don't care anything about me. You never cared anything about me. Now you just got through beating my head in a week ago, but now I've never cared anything about you. You haven't worked a job. I've been paying your bills, but now all of a sudden I don't care for you. I'm the one that's not cared about you. And then if you don't respond to that, then it goes to, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna kill myself. You've driven me to suicide. You've driven me to suicide. I'm gonna kill myself. And then they get you on the phone because they're playing to your empathy. And now you apologizing to them for leaving them because they've abused you and misused you and broken your life. This is how crazy this thing is. Number 3, because they're professional victims. They know how to put themselves in the victim's seat. Number 3, when they feel like, now this one is very, very important. Listen to this very carefully. When they feel like a person has discerned them or discovered them, or a person has uncovered their deceit, they begin to assassinate that person's character in the public or with the friends or in the family to make themselves the victim before the person, or before they think the person is able to come out with the knowledge that they have about the narcissist being a fraud. So if they feel like you know something about them and you're getting ready to come out and you're getting ready to share this information with others, what they will do to keep themselves in the victim's position is begin to assassinate your character with all of the people that matter to you. So if it's in a church setting like I live in, they'll go all around the church and they'll tell everybody around the church, so-and-so, they're out to get me. They're out to get me. I don't know. There's something going on. I think Pastor Blakes has an issue with me. I think he has a problem with me. I haven't done him anything. Because they feel like, Pastor Blakes may be getting ready to tell somebody who they really are, so that when Pastor Blakes comes out with the truth, they've already sown that seed in the minds of others, so that when you come out with the truth, the people that are closest to you and mutual, they hope would think, man, that boy said that Pastor Blakes was gonna try to get him. Or, look what the Bible says. Is this making sense to you all? Is this making sense? These are just some things that I'm learning. And as I pay attention, woo, it's deep. Genesis 39. Okay, let me just give you the background of this before I read it. A brother by the name of Joseph, a biblical character, is a slave, working as a slave in the house of a brother by the name of Potiphar. And Potiphar's found favor in Joseph, and he's made him head over his house. And Joseph is a faithful and righteous man. But Potiphar's wife wanted to sleep with Joseph, and Joseph refused to sleep with her. And Joseph said, I wouldn't do this to the master of this house because he's been good to me. I'm just not going to do it. And so he turned her down. He turned her down. And see, the last thing, the main thing, should I say, that stirs a narcissist up, and every diabolical, demonic strategy they can muster up will be exercised is when you reject them, when you say no to them. They don't like you to say no to them. But that's the background. And then I'm going to read, taking up in Genesis 39, 13 through 16. And it came to pass when she saw, talking about Joseph, that he had left his garment. See, she was trying to sleep with him, and she was getting so aggressive that she was grabbing at him. And so she grabbed at him, and somehow she held onto his garment as he was running away from her. And so the Bible says here, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us, talking about a husband, to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me. He's trying to rape me. And I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, as if he took his clothes off, and then he started running when she started crying, but she tore the man's clothes off of him. Left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until her husband came home. So what do you see there? Joseph is doing the righteous thing, saying, no, I'm not going to do this. She trying to sleep with him. She grabs his clothes. He runs away. She holds on to part of his garments, and now she doesn't know if he's going to go tell her husband. So she does what? She assassinates his character with the people that matter before he has an opportunity to say anything. She tells the men of the house, and then she lays up there with the garment all dramatically until her husband comes, and then she tells him, oh, he tried to rape me. He tried to rape me. And the reality was she was trying to rape him. And so now Potiphar's mad with Joseph, and Potiphar takes Joseph and puts him in jail. So she was successful. But that is a textbook narcissistic move. When things, when you begin to discern, see, and I think a wisdom is this: when you begin to discern a narcissist, don't talk too much. Don't let on that you know too much, because they will go and they will assassinate your character on your job, with your family, in your church, in your neighborhood, in your clubs, and whatever you're part of. They will assassinate your character to make certain that in the eyes of the public, they are the victim. You are the victimizer. They are the victim. Jezebel absolutely was a narcissist. Number 4, when they need their ego stroked, they will actually lie about having problems. They will lie about having sicknesses. They will lie about financial problems. They'll lie about somebody dying. If they have not found sufficient infilling of their ego and just the attention they need, they will lie and create a drama. My grandma died, my grandmother died, really, and they'll go to crying. They're about to repossess my car. Actually take your money. They'll actually take your money based on a lie. Because when they need their ego stroked or fed, they will actually lie about having issues just to create sympathy around them, just to create draw all of the attention to them. Okay, it'll go as deep as this. You can say sincerely, man, my mother passed. My mother passed. And if you're especially if you're like in a group setting, maybe 3 or more people, my mother passed, and everybody started consoling you. If you got a narc in the middle of that situation, they'll come up and say, well, I didn't want to say nothing, but my brother died too. This is how crazy it is. My brother, it's like if you pay attention, okay, now watch this. You just got to pay attention to people, man. Stop just, aimlessly wandering through life and pay attention to people. Do you know anybody that every time you have an issue, they have one that ups yours? If you have a headache, they have a migraine. If you have a backache, they have a slip disc. If you have a twisted ankle, they have a broken leg. If you have a cold, they have cancer. Every time. Not one time can they say, oh, really? How do you feel? What can I do for you? I got a bad cold. Oh, I have the flu too. Do you know anybody like that? Do you know anybody? Man, I'm telling you, I am telling you, if you pay attention, these people are everywhere. It is crazy. It's frightening. It's crazy, but it's liberating to be able to discern. They never can say, okay, man, I feel for you. It's a shame that you feel that way. I'm sorry for you. Is anything I can do? No, they always got something else. My child got dropped out of college because, or got kicked out of college because his grades was bad. My child went to jail. Mine went to jail. You're not by yourself. Because they got to always be the greatest victim in the group. They have to always be the greatest victim in the group. Okay. I'm just teaching. I'm just teaching from personal experiences. A woman that is dating a man, if you're dating a man and he's down on, whatever, he doesn't have his life together, and you're trying to figure out, am I assigned to help this man get on his feet? But he never can take, he never can take ownership of his issues. And he's always, creating victim status and never can say, I just didn't do that and I need to get myself together. That's a sign, man. That's a sign, That's a sign. That's a sign. That's a sign. All of his former relationships, all of them failed because the women were no good. The women were no good. I have, y'all know if you've watched me for any length of time, you know my history. I've shared it. I've written it in books. The man that I used to be. I'm not that man today. And I don't have a problem saying that most of the relationships that I've had that failed were my fault. When you can't say that, when you can't own your stuff, there's something wrong in here, there's something wrong. And see, I'm teaching this stuff, but y'all need to start paying attention to people and looking at people beneath the surface. Number 5, and I think I'm done. They will do something nice. Watch this. This is big right here. Boy, I'm talking a long time. They will do something nice, and if it is not publicly celebrated, they will tell everybody of how they've been used by you. If they give you something, if they do something for you and you don't publicly celebrate them, if you don't give them great accolades, they will tell everybody. It's a shame how I went out of my way to go and pick her up from her job, and I brought her all the way across town, and I did X, Y, Z for her. And she ain't have nothing to say thank you. She ain't give me no gas money or nothing. Now, they're not going to talk about the fact that, you've done this for them 1,000 times and they've never said thank you. They're not going to talk about the fact that you gave them the down payment for the car. They're not going to talk about all of that, but they're going to go into the circle, and they're going to create this drama. If you don't celebrate them and if you don't applaud them, come on, somebody, they will tell everybody how they've been used. You know, no good deed goes unpunished. I just can't be good to people. You can't be good to people because people not going to be good back to you. And they'll be with them crocodile tears and they're crying and looking over their eye at the same time, waiting to see who gonna come and hug them. I just don't know what to do. I almost said something right there. Because a narcissist only does good deeds for recognition. When they aren't praised, they become furious. You know, it's kind of like here's another tool for women, and I suppose men can use it as well, but you know, just talking to women. If you're dealing with a man that has to be, you gotta just, you know, jump up and down with pom-poms every time he does something good. If you don't jump up and down and make a big to-do over everything he does for you, something wrong there. Something wrong there. He's doing it for recognition. Most of the stuff I do in this house for these people that live in this house for is just me and my wife, and not other people gone. Most of the stuff that I do and have done for all 4 of my children and my wife and my family and all of that, most of the people don't say, you know, you just a great dad, you just a great husband, we just celebrate you. No. I may get a little bit of that, Father's Day. Because I don't do what I do. I don't do what I do for recognition. Now, it'd be nice to get it. I ain't gonna lie. It would be nice, you know, for your children to call and say, you know, man, you've been a great dad, but brother, don't get too much of that. Great to have my wife, you know, just, you know. But I don't do it for recognition. Come on, somebody. See? But when you're a narcissist, you have to maintain your victim status. And when you've done well, if the person does not recognize, you view that as a prime opportunity to claim victim status in the minds, in the eyes, and in the ears of those that you can share this story of how you did so much for this person and they're just so ungrateful. That's a straight narcissistic move. And the Bible says in Matthew 6:1, take heed that ye do not your alms or give your gifts before men to be seen of them. Otherwise, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. And that is exactly what the narcissist does. He or she does everything they do just to be seen. And if you don't feed them, if you don't supply them with recognition and accolades, they will take that opportunity to drag you through the mud and tell everybody how good they've been to you and how horrible you are to them. Now, and this is just the beginnings of probably another discussion, but I'll just touch on it since I have you and I've held you this long. A few things I want to say to you. Okay, 2 things I'll say to you that I've discovered and I'm discovering relative to dealing with narcissists, because I deal with them a lot. I promise you, when you're the pastor of a church, you deal with narcissists a lot. Never argue with a narcissist. Never argue with a narcissist. Say what you got to say, and no back and forth. No back and forth. It drives them nuts when they can't get a rise out of you. It's pointless because they have no concept of equity or fairness. They're not looking for fairness. They're not looking for equity. They're not looking for righteousness. In their world, they must be viewed as right by any means necessary. So it's a waste of energy and time to argue with a narcissist. The best way to handle a narcissist is to say what you're going to say, drop the bomb clearly, and shut up. Because you're dealing with a person that does not know right from wrong. And if they do somehow come upon the fact that I'm wrong, they're not going to admit it. And they specialize in confrontation and arguing and negativity and drama. The spirit of confusion, which is where Satan dwells. You don't argue with a person that you've determined that this person is a narcissist and they're a user. You don't argue with them. You just simply say, I know who you are, and kind of leave it vague like that. I know who you are, and I'm done. God bless you. Hang the phone up, block them on everything. Block them on everything. They try to get around all on social media and want to say crazy stuff. Don't respond to that. Don't respond to that. Don't respond to that. Leaving you all kinds of emails. No. Don't respond to that. Never argue with a narcissist. Never argue. The only way you can argue with a narcissist is that you have to come down. You cannot be willing to come down. And when you get into this argument, all they're going to do is just twist things up. And before you know it, spirit of confusion is all in your mind. And you trying to figure out if I was wrong, if I was right, what's going on? What's really going on? They're driving you nuts. Never respond to a narcissist publicly or in a group. Now they'll try to bait you into a public scene. When they clowning publicly, and what'll happen is when you break from them and they're trying to figure out how much do you really know, how clever are you, how much are you really on to their game, what'll happen is they'll try to create a public scene because they have nothing to lose. They'll try to create a public scene once again to make themselves, in the eyes of public opinion, the victim. And when they clown like this, and especially in a day like today, like a time like today where you have social media, they can just get all over social media and say all kinds of crazy stuff about you. And you have to be mature enough not to respond because it's like quicksand. You can't jump in that and get out. It pulls you deeper and deeper and deep. So, I don't even respond. I say what it is. I state my position and I'm done with it. I'm not arguing with you and I'm not responding to you publicly because anything you feed will grow. If you don't feed it, it'll die. So some of y'all got these crazy people that you're trying to break from and they spewing all this stuff out on social media. Let them talk. Let them talk. Block them. Tell your family and friends. Don't send me nothing from them. Let them talk because you cannot win dealing with a narcissist in a public or group setting. A narcissist is an actor and needs an audience and a stage. Never give him one. The Bible says, make no place for the devil. The devil doesn't have a position unless you give him one. Don't give him one. And then thirdly, and these are in no order, I'm going to come back and teach this, how to navigate, a situation with a narcissist. The third thing, and then I'm done. I'm out for real this time. Discern them, know who they are, without them even realizing that you know who they are. It's kind of like Judas, and when I first started this study, I called Judas a narcissist, but he really wasn't a narcissist because after he realized what he had done, he felt so bad he hung himself. That's not the move of a narcissist. But we learned something from Jesus's response to Judas and his betrayal that we can apply to the narcissist. Jesus knew who Judas was, and he kept it quiet. He didn't share it with the disciples or anybody. And when it came down to the betrayal, Jesus says to Judas, do what you're going to do and do it quickly. You have to be able to know who this person is, especially a narcissist, and they not realize that you know. They got to feel like they are fooling you until you get to the point where you're ready to drop the hammer and shut this thing down. Come on, somebody. But sometimes the worst thing you can do is to run out there and say, I know you're a narcissist. I've been watching this YouTube and you're not. And now you enrage this individual, which can be a very dangerous individual. Sometimes you got to not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing and just be quiet especially when you're trying to escape a romantic situation. You got to know certain things and begin to gradually work your way out of the grips of this individual. The first move is that once you realize it, you begin to untie the knots off of your mind. And then you pray for wisdom to know how to move, when to move, and then you move. But it's supposed to come as a shocker to them. She knew, he knows. It's supposed to come as a shocker. You're not supposed to give them a preview. So, hey, that's my thoughts for tonight. Those are my thoughts for tonight. I hope you got something out of this. And hey, man, we're gonna keep looking at this because, like I said, I am learning. Honestly, this stuff. And those of y'all need to check out because I'm just talking now. This stuff should be taught in seminary. Psychology should be taught. No pastor should go to seminary and not come out with an equivalent psychology degree. Because a lot of the stuff that we're chalking up as all spiritual, sometimes this stuff is psychological even in the church. And this person is who we are dealing with probably 3/4 of the time. We are dealing with narcissists and just don't know what we're dealing with, and we don't know how to handle it because nobody's taught us. And it's like, wow, it's like, wow. It's like, wow. And when you guys really take this in and you begin to look at, the people that you will encounter through the lens of this wisdom and this understanding, it's going to change your life, man, and the way you do relationships. All right, I've been on here almost an hour. I got to go. Hey, if this is your kind of thing, we'd love to have you in my YouTube family. So, subscribe if you like this, subscribe. Share it on your platforms if you don't mind. Leave your comments for me. It's a lot of them, but I like to go back sometimes and just kind of scroll through them. Give me a thumbs up if you know. And you can reach out to Lisa and/or I at pastorrcblakes@gmail.com. Very soon, very soon, my first online program, Transcending the Father Wound, is going to be available very soon. In fact, it'll be available the 1st of December. And I want you to just kind of stay tuned. If you've not signed up for my mailing list, sign up for my mailing list at pastorrcblakes@gmail.com. And you'll get all of the information relative to where I'm going to be, my programs, everything, anything concerning me, you'll get it through rcblakes.com. All right. I love you all. Have a great one. Have a great one. And I'll talk to you soon.